Okay, everybody, we're going to do a quick update on Trixie. And for those of you who don't know who Trixie is, this is the chicken that was caught by a hawk a couple of months ago. It's also the one that was in the bathtub or in the sink having a bath. And I got a concerned question: was the bird drugged to make him lay in the sink like that? No, he absolutely loves a nice warm bath, just like anybody who has very sore muscles and would like to relax. Yeah, he gets into it. He gets into his bath. So, and as you can see that if you noticed his naked spots from the bath video, when their feathers are dry, it covers everything. It's just when they are wet, you can see they really don't have nearly as many feathers as you think they do. So, this is Trixie, and we'll try to recap the story quickly. I heard the chickens screaming about a hawk. They make a certain sound. And so I ran outside, and a hawk had caught him, rolled him across the ground very hard, was sitting on his head, and was plucking his tail feathers. You can see he's missing quite a few over here, where the hawk literally plucked him, was getting ready for dinner. And I've had to trim the ones on this side to bring them down a little bit because that was with balance to try to keep their feathers similar. Now, I need to trim them again because these are going to grow faster because these actually have to grow back in, whereas these are just catching back up from where I trimmed them. So, I could not find any wounds on Trixie as far as bloody marks. There were no puncture wounds. There was no blood or gore or anything like that. And I was hopeful, even though he was gasping and panting and very limp, I figured I'd give him a try. So I put him on some straw in a container in a dark place in the bathroom where it's warm, dark, and quiet, and left him there. And then every day I took him droplets of water. And then after 3 days, he started waking up, asking for food. And that was a good sign, so I started letting him have food. Now, he couldn't open his beak all the way, which made me suspect that he had a broken jaw, which I still suspected he did. So he has to eat the superfine scratch. And this right here is mainly corn, which when it comes to chickens, that's just candy. Not good. So he gets a little bit of this to peck at as a snack, and it has to be in this big container because he's lost some vision. So when he tries to aim for, say, this piece, he could hit anywhere in here. So he's given a big bowl, and that way he's not frustrated trying to eat. But I also cut up fruits, vegetables, different kinds of meat sometimes. He loves eggs. He gets a little bit of electrolytes. He gets baby food, hatchling food, which I have to be really careful with because it comes in a crumble, and it will get up in his nostrils. I don't know if you're familiar with chicken nostrils, but they're the little slits right there. There's a chicken nostril. So since his head turns when he hits the bowl, his head turns like this now, and it will jab that food up into his nose. So I have to be very, very careful about what I put in this bowl. You can also see he's beginning to get what they call a crossbill, where the top and the bottom bill do not line up anymore. That's not just from it being broken. That's also from him being unable to wear it down. A normal chicken would be peck, 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 and then it would wear that down into an even little nub for them to pick stuff up with. But because he hits from the side, it has totally messed it up. So I trim that using, you got to be super careful because it is like a dog's toenail where there is a blood vein in there. Plus they've got a little tongue. You don't want to hit their tongue. And cutting into that would be like cutting into the end of your finger, trying to cut your fingernails. It'd be like cutting your fingernail way down here. You don't do that. So you got to be super careful. But, so Trixie started recovering a little bit. He was standing. He could only walk in a circle. And he was having seizures every day. I mean, every day he had seizures. But when he wasn't seizing, he was talkative like he is now. You can hear his little noises. He'll tell you what he thinks about things. He was curious, eating well, doing normal chicken things. Preening was the big one. He's keeping himself clean, which meant that he wasn't depressed and he cared. So he showed a willingness not only to live, but a desire to live. And I didn't mind. I don't mind helping him if he's a happy bird. So even though he was having these, they were fairly mild seizures as far as the head pulling back into his chest and then the head seizing. But after about 3 weeks, they started getting really frequent. And it was getting to the point where, okay, I'm thinking this bird needs to be put down. We're on a farm. That means, not the nicest way to put a bird down, maybe, but, wringing their neck is quick. I can't do it. I was going to have a family member do it, but that's how drastic it got. The very night that I made that decision, he had 2 more huge seizures. These seizures literally caused him to do a backflip where he was coming out. It was so violent, feathers were flying out. He did 2 backflips and lost quite a puff of feathers. And then he woke up from it and once again was normal. Just acting like, pretty much his normal self. And I thought, well, we'll see how he is in the morning. Well, in the morning, he was better. And he's never had a seizure since. Not one seizure since. So I can't explain that. I have no clue. But, so Trixie has made it thus far with these injuries. What I do believe happened, I do believe that the neck was broken, or at least fractured. There's a vertebra right here that is now bigger, much bigger than the others. And his head is on crooked. He can't straighten it. I thought at first it was wry neck from malnutrition, from me having to give him just corn and water to get him started off. But we're way past the point that it could be that. It's definitely a structural damage. And then he just 2 days ago hit another disaster. So, like I said, he was learning to walk again, but he was walking in circles. And I still was keeping him in a bin in the bathroom. I told everybody it's time for me to change Trixie's pen. I'm going to put him in a bin in the living room while I take his bin and change it out. I don't know if people just didn't understand what I was doing. I don't know. I don't know how this was a miscommunication. But just to be sure, I put Trixie in 2 bins. So one inside of another one, because we have dogs. But for some reason, the dogs were not kept up in that short period of time. And my grandson's corgi did indeed get in there, called him a bird, and Trixie was injured yet again. So Trixie now has a bite mark over his, well, we may not be able to see it. He doesn't like it messed with. And I try not to make him do anything he doesn't really like. But it's right around here somewhere. Above his ear. It's not a bad one. But he is very sore in this leg. The left leg and left wing. He's actually letting the left wing droop sometimes. And he's putting very little pressure on that left leg. So left wing droopy, left leg droopy also. So I'm hoping that will heal. I'm back to kind of a square one, where if this turns out to be a permanent injury with him unable to take steps again, then, I'm back to, I have to make that decision. This bird that, as you can see, who preens himself, takes pride in himself, eats his dinner and his electrolytes. Oh, he also has this little bag, which is a little makeup bag, which he fits into perfectly. There's his little makeup bag. I stuff him in there with his little head sticking out. We go to the store. We go to the gas station. People come over and pet him. He thinks that's the coolest thing, and they think it's the coolest thing. So he gets to go out. He's not just like stuck laying in a pen. Obviously, he's in my bed. So, yeah, he gets to come out of his little crate. He sometimes naps with me, so he's not alone. And I found a perfect use for these things. I couldn't figure out what they were for. I just been looking at them, they're like all over the ground, and I was like, what is it? Well, now I know. You loop it over this wing, you wrap it under the tail, you loop it over the other wing, and it makes a little Scoopy Doopy diaper. And that is what that is. I don't know, folks. What have you been using them for? Because this is all I use that for. I can't imagine this would have any other use than a chicken's butt. But anyway, it works. So that's Trixie's story. And yeah, if you have any ideas on things that might help Trixie, feel free to make comments. If you think that maybe Trixie's suffered enough and shouldn't be going through anymore, maybe I'm being selfish, let me know. Or if you think that he's got plenty of chance, then let me know that too. You can see he's starting to gape a bit more, which means I have it way too hot in here. So I'm going to get him some water and get him cooled down, let him go back to sleep. Well, thank you for visiting. Bye.